Welcome to SandCity Sports. I am your host, the Cape Cod Kid, artist formerly known as Andre King, and we're back again to bring you all the sports and current events news stories that you need to know. Let's get it started. Folks, it is the month of October, and by golly, all attention rightfully should be focused on our national pastime. And even though the divisional round only saw the 4 lower-seeded teams win a combined 2 games, first-round action across the major leagues was fast and furious, witnessing historic performances and ninth-inning high drama worthy of the ESPN Classic archives. That being said, we are down to a Final Four that includes the 2 top-ranked teams in Major League Baseball, the Boston Celtics and Houston Astros, facing off in the American League Championship Series, and the defending National League champion LA Dodgers facing off against the upstart Milwaukee Brewers in a series that includes just about every contrast that one can imagine, with one team attempting to reach back-to-back World Series and another team trying to reach its first World Series in 36 years. Yes, indeed, once again, it is the month of October, and those of us who are sports fans recognize that the most important thing on an individual's mind when they wake up in the morning should not be what brand of pumpkin spice coffee is available at their local Dunkin' Donuts, but who's pitching and which team has the home field advantage in the American League and National League Championship Series. Kicking it over to football, this is a new program, and I'm certainly new to football coverage. Nevertheless, after signing up for 2 fantasy football leagues and drastically increasing my NFL Red Zone viewership, I think I'm in line for a contract. I do. With some pro team somewhere in the continental United States. Because as far as I can tell, one former charismatic football analyst was paid $100 million guaranteed to trade away his best player and begin this football season with 1 questionable victory and 4 losses. That being said, as the second quarter of the NFL season moves into its second week, the AFC and NFC East are both essentially dogfights, with every team in each division essentially 1 win away from first place. While the AFC and NFC West look like foregone conclusions well before halftime, led by 2 versatile and dynamic quarterbacks, coached by a young innovator and old sage. That said, the teams that I've got my eye on are the Cincinnati Bengals, who are currently 4-1, but have not won a playoff game since Moses wore short pants. The Cleveland Browns, who are 2-1, but could just as easily be 5-0, and have a quarterback who's a proven winner against all odds and at all levels. The Chicago Bears, who now have the personnel and the passion to match their rugged and successful history. And the Carolina Panthers, who, in a league of exceedingly talented quarterbacks, possibly have the most talented quarterback of all, and finally have an offensive coordinator to harness all of that talent. Yeah, I see you mean mugging me. I haven't forgotten about you, Who Dat Nation. And we certainly have to give a shout out to Drew Brees on surpassing Peyton Manning as the NFL's all-time leading passer. The 39-year-old quarterback completed 26 of 29 passes for 363 yards and 3 touchdowns, stating that this historic achievement was not so much about proving certain people wrong, but about proving the people who had believed in him right. Drew Brees, an individual whose achievements on the football field may only be surpassed by his accomplishments in the community National Football League's all-time leading passer. Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov squared off in the highest-rated UFC championship bout of all time this weekend. That's great, and the fight delivered on the hype in many regards, even though many said the undercards were just as good, if not better, all-around bouts. Which means that, so far as the octagon itself was concerned, Saturday proved to be an all-time great evening for the UFC. But as you and I and everybody else knows, this weekend in the UFC turned out to be about everything except what went on between champions and contenders inside the octagon. A great championship event was marred when Nurmagomedov scaled the octagon walls and dove into the crowd to attack one of McGregor's trainers, and two of Nurmagomedov's trainers climbed into the octagon themselves and attacked Conor McGregor himself. The UFC deserves credit in that both of these attempted assaults were quickly rebuffed by security personnel. Nonetheless, Dana White's explanation of and rationale for the post-fight melee was absolutely derelict. White's contention was that the UFC is clearly a combat sport, and by many metrics, the most popular combat sport in the world. And these type of occurrences essentially come with the territory in this particular brand of athletics. Well, folks, we've spoken about the failings of other combat sports on this program, and now we'll set aside some time for the UFC. No, Mr. White, all combat sports are not alike, and the negative speech that goes on within the realm of sports all doesn't fall under the banner of trash talk. The language between McGregor and Nurmagomedov leading up to the fight was both prejudicial and discriminatory, with much of it falling under the heading of what we would call hate speech. The UFC did a disservice to itself by allowing this conduct before the fight, and the unsportsmanlike, unseemly, and illegal events that took place after the fight are a direct result. Dana White's been affiliated with the UFC for 2 decades, and he should remember that the rise of this outlier enterprise has everything to do with the use of reasonable regulations and not the complete lack thereof. Ladies and gentlemen, you already know what time it is. NBA season kicks off next Tuesday, October 16th, and it's about to go down. We're going to go over some preseason awards to conclude the show, and then after this week, it is off to the races. 2018-2019 NBA Most Valuable Player, Giannis Antetokounmpo. NBA Defensive Player of the Year, DeAndre Jordan. NBA Rookie of the Year, Marvin Bagley III. NBA Sixth Man of the Year, Tyreke Evans. Coach of the Year, Quinn Snyder. Executive of the Year, Danny Ainge. And 2018-2019 NBA champions, the Boston Celtics. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. Go ahead and comment, like, and subscribe as you feel the need. I am your host, the Cape Cod Kid, artist formerly known as Andre King. Thank you for tuning in to SandCity Sports, and we will see you again the next time.
Yes, peace of souls do sedate ourselves. Just a number, all this pain we feel. Yes, at times we do hate ourselves, but each day we try to retake ourselves. So yes, we peace of souls do sedate ourselves. Just a number of this pain we feel. Yes, at times we do hate ourselves, but each day we try to embrace ourselves. Yeah.